And we don't need to say it. Okay, you're very loud in my ear, just to let you know. Good morning, curling fans, and welcome to the 2022 Everest Canadian Seniors Curling Championships, being brought to you by this job being brought to you by Besh Nutraceuticals. There you go. I got it out, Nick. My name's Dave Doucette, and with me today, Nick Hilton. Nick, we've got our first game in the playoff round, if you will. In this case, the seeding pool.
Yes, it's an exciting morning here. All the teams were gathered last night trying to figure out where they were going to be this morning. You know, we have the championship pool starting at 12:30 here in Yarmouth, and you know, it's an exciting day here. I'm really going to figure out where people are going to be by the end of the day.
So there's two, after the original round robin portion, there were 4 groups, A and B, men's and women's, both with 7 teams in them. And the way it works is the top 4 teams from each pool move on to the championship pool, and teams 5 through 7 continue on as a seeding past the championship round. So the games we're seeing today, they have nobody's going to win a medal, nobody's going for gold or silver or bronze in that case. It's literally just for the seeding past that, correct?
Yeah, for next year's event. I believe it plays a role in when they arrive next year and who they're going to play. So.
In today's game, we have Team Northern Ontario versus Team Northwest Territories. Northwest Territories lead Richard Klakowicz, Franz Juba, Brian Keln, and Glenn Hootie. On Team Northern Ontario, we've got Gary Champagne, Rob Sinclair, Frank Morissette, and the skip, Al Hackner. Now, Nick, Hackner's probably even to the casual fan, the curler that people have heard of, even if you're just a casual walker of big events back in the day, I guess, for Mr. Hackner.
Yeah, I've been curling for 30 years, and that name has been around that long, really. He owns one of the top 5 curling shots of all time. Just a legend, really, among the sport. And you can see that here this week as people have, you know, approached him for photos and just look to him just to kind of see what it's like to be here. So, and just an exciting day, an exciting time here in Yarmouth to have this quality of curling here with us.
And Hackner, for those of you that don't know, was the Brier, which is the Canadian men's champion and world champion twice back in 1982 and 1985. So we're underway here. It looks to me like Northern Ontario is shot rock for the first end. So they obviously in that closest to the button at the beginning. We're a little bit closer.
Yep, they have the hammer. A little bit heavy with their first stone there. So we have Northwest Territories has a guard up, so we're looking quite offensive here in the first end, which is different than what I've seen in the few games that I've had to commentate. So hopefully we'll have an exciting game here with lots of rocks in play.
So putting that guard up initially as compared to putting one in and making it a hitting game, so to speak, right away, because if it goes into the rings, you can hit it, but you have to wait a few rocks before you can clear a guard out. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, it seems to change every few years depending on how good teams seem to be getting, but we're up to the 5 rock guard rule now, so lots of chance to be offensive to start the game here. So a little rub off the guard there, unfortunately. So
by putting a guard up initially, then like getting back to like the strategy, at least the opening strategy in end 1, and we got lots of rocks and lots of ends to go, but putting that guard in front just allows more rocks to get in behind the guard and therefore allow more rocks to be in play right at the beginning of the end.
Yeah, like in the 2 games that I've commentated before, you'd see the first rock come into the house just so they get used to the ice, figure out the curl, figure out the speed, try to, you know, play a little bit defensively to start with. But you didn't see that here, and we didn't see what the first call of the game was. Maybe that was the call, and
could have been short.
Yeah, it could have been short, and then you see the difference of the change of play. Like, I don't think people realize the importance of every shot on your team from 1 through 8. Like it just completely controls the game of what you're going to do. So
Now, I know we're climate controlled in here, but everything really factors into this. We came in here this morning, it's double-digit temperatures outside. It's raining, it's humid, and it's an early morning draw. So it's a combination of it's warmer outside, and that's going to affect the environment inside to some extent. But it's also the first draw of the day, so the ice is had all night to just sit. Does that factor into how the ice plays?
I think it does, but at the same time, the ice crew from Curling Canada has been here since probably 6 o'clock getting the ice ready for this draw. They've done a wonderful job. I've heard comments from all the teams that this is some of the best arena ice they've ever curled on. So,
and it's different being in an arena ice, isn't it? Because it's not made for curling. It's a hockey rink that they've converted into curling.
Well, if I had my way, it would be made for curling.
Oh.
Lots of speed and lots more curl. So we'll see how the team. Well, we're into day number 5 now, so the team should be well used to it.
We saw a nice takeout by the Northwest Territories and tit for tat. Looks like Ontario's coming right back to knock that out. So they still are. It looks like they're 1-2. Yes, they are 1-2 in the house right now.
So 1-2 already with the hammer. So they're set up right now already for a quick deuce. But you see that one behind the hog line that could come back to hurt them if Northwest Territories gets a rock in front of them.
And as they say, that's why you throw all the rocks. You can't count them to the end, right?
I don't know if I've heard that.
So you're looking to roll that in a little bit more? Like if, obviously the first priority is get rid of the red. But would the better priority would have been if it had been just that 1/4 of an inch more on the inside to roll more to the center and be underneath his own guard?
I would think, yeah, it's, the first one behind the guard is probably the safest. So they're hoping to the first one to get there.
And they're edging closer and closer, it seems, with each shot. Each takeout.
I mean, Northern Ontario is hoping, well, there you go. But both behind the T line, so Northwest Territories does have some outs here.
We're going into the leads now, I believe, or the thirds. So it's Keln, the first of his 2.
I've had a chance to chat with both teams this week, in Northwest Territories, like all the territories, are always some of the most fun teams here at any Canadian championship. Yarmouth had the opportunity to host the 2017 Canadian Mixed, and some of the relationships we built there are still lasting today. So really exciting team and really excited to have them here. Oh, wow. Wow.
That was really good. And that's it. The Northwest Territories skip just drops the broom and says, if you're going to start doing that in end one.
Well, yeah, it rubbed off the top guard there, back onto the biter on the 12-foot, and a run back double. So,
and here's the replay. And you can see just that little rub.
Those are the shots you need to apologize for. Although a little luck goes a long way. Oh, that's hard. That's hard in the first end. I think Al Heckner's Northern Ontario team has had a bit of a rough go this week. Just some bad luck, and we see that continuing here this morning.
As you said, though, still early, and there's lots of room to get inside there. And it's really all about weight right now, isn't it?
It is. Keeping it in front of the 4-foot or T line is super important here, and they did that.
So honestly, it'd be hard to follow that down and do much more than cozy up to it.
Yeah,
because you can't get enough speed to hold it.
He's already thinking run back here, get rid of the guards.
Yesterday when I was on the air with your friend Aaron, he was talking about the difference in the spin that you'd put on the rock, like how much rotation that you'd have on this ice as compared to, say, the curling ice here at the curling rink.
Yeah, and actually because of the ice techs we've had here, our local curling rink is starting to act a little bit more like the arena ice here. So when me and you go back as club curlers, you're going to see a significant difference in the quality of ice that we have there. So when you're talking about handles and lazy handles or too much rotation, it really is going to make a difference. Not enough handle will make it curl significantly more.
Yes, Aaron was saying that yesterday, and I was surprised by that. I had no idea because it was never that big a factor normally on the club ice.
Yeah.
It might have made a bit of a difference, but not to the extent that he was explaining.
Aaron's an expert on everything, so I'm not going to question him too much. But our local ice tech, Paul Doucette, who we're really lucky to have here in Yarmouth, have been for several years, has been spending some time with the ice techs from Curl Canada. So he's pretty excited. He's learned a lot of things. We're getting him some new equipment, and we're going to have national level ice here at our local club.
It's great to have that kind of experience come down here, right? I mean, you do it over years, you look things up, you get advice, but to actually have somebody on site talking about it, it's valuable information that's so hard to come by unless you're hosting an event like this and get these types of people here.
Well, they sent 3 ice techs this year, where in 2017 they only sent 1. So, and we didn't use the club in 2017 because that was just a 14-team event, where this is 28 teams. So, yeah, we've had way more opportunity to get the club involved, which has been really good for us. We've had we had the opening ceremonies there, and we had a traditional lobster boil for all the teams here on Tuesday, which I think everyone was really excited about. It was well done. A little bit of a miss there by Northwest Territories.
Yeah, Hudie just kind of a little too much, either too much ice or too much weight. One thing or the other. It stayed outside.
Yep, could have been both. We found here the other day that if you up the weight at all, it just ran quite straight. So surprised him in the first end.
And I've noticed, just like I said, from the games I've watched, you don't really have to throw that much weight to hold the line. Like when I'm looking where the broom is, they are not giving a lot of ice. If it's not truly draw weight, it's staying relatively straight.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're looking for when you're talking about world-class ice. Like high weights run straight, so you can make those big run-back hits or doubles or triples like you see on TV, and then when you're throwing draw weight, you can bury around just about anything. I seen Team Yukon skip bury one around a guard that was outside the 4-foot line, like the other night. It was just absolutely amazing, and I believe it either won him the game or tied him the game. So the guy holding the broom was standing in the middle of the barrier.
Wait on, it's got a curl.
It's going to be interesting to see where this one goes because the broom was right outside the edge of the rings, and they haven't been out there that much, so you have to really wonder how the ice is and how the ice is going to play. It looks like they're just trying to see if they can come in enough to be number 2. And it looks like they just have it.
It's a hard way to get 2 with the tap back. Your shot stone was open. You could have come around that a little bit.
Do you think they're playing to the next rock? They're pretty much leaving theirs open, but then they've still got hammer. So is it like you hit ours, I'll hit yours, and I've got my 2?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to question Al Hackner's reason for making a shot.
Oh, come on, Nick.
But the tap back to me was a bit more difficult than maybe I'd be playing in the first end.
Now we can hit it if he missed this, but I don't think he's going to miss it.
If he gets any of a...
And I'm just hearing him. I think Hackner's mic'd, and I could just hear him say that. He pretty much said what I just said. If he doesn't think he's going to miss it 2 in a row.
And it was a smart move now that he was 1-2 because he's wide open for Al to throw for his deuce.
And there was no roll at all. If anything, it might have edged a quarter of an inch more to the middle, more to the center line. So it is very open for him to come in and gently just push that one back. Doesn't really need big weight. There's lots of room around the guard. He can see all the rock.
Yeah, and he clearly knew that. So that was the decision to try to sit 2. I would have been worried that when they hit that, they would have rolled under a bit, but...
And so when you're looking at the ice that they're giving here, he obviously is going here with very controlled weight. Because we just talked about how little ice you need to give in order for it to run straight, and he's giving a full rock.
Yeah. See how it works out here.
Whoa. Gary.
So they're sweeping to make it curl, so he doesn't feel like...
He doesn't feel it's close enough.
Yeah.
It's starting to move,
They've got a
but will he
piece.
hold it? And the answer to that is no, he won't. So they're going to get the one.
1-0 Northern Ontario.
And we'll be back after this quick break.
The Curling Cares calendar is back for 2023. 25 curling athletes from 7 different nations are raising money for various charities. Support them by purchasing yours today at curlingcares.com.
So after one great shot by Northwest Territories, great, and a little bit of a plan B because it was a rub off of a rock, but it created a double at the end of it. On Northern Ontario still with the chance to get that important 2 in the first end, but we're held to just the 1. And after one end complete, we have Northern Ontario 1 and Northwest Territories no score. Getting here, as we said, this is part of the seeding pool. So the first 8 teams are on to the championship pool, and 9 through 14 go into the seeding pool. Northern Ontario finished the round robin portion 2 and 4. They had losses to Ontario 8-6, lost to Nova Scotia 8-5, lost to Quebec 8-4, defeated the Yukon 6-5, defeated Nunavut 8-3, and lost to PEI 8-7. Some close games there. On the other side, Northwest Territories winless through the round robin portion, losing 10-2 to Newfoundland, 10-2 to Saskatchewan, 7-5 to Alberta, 11-2 to PEI, 10-1 to New Brunswick, and 6-4 for Manitoba, against Manitoba. So looking for their first win in the tournament. And I guess the way it works is like the men and women were both in Pool A and Pool B. And so these are teams that have never played because they were in opposite pools. And that's the way it's set up on both the championship side of the pool as well as the seeding side of the pool, is now you're going to play 3, or in the championship side 4, teams that you have yet to play.
Yeah, and that's the exciting part. You're getting to play a team from every province and territory in Canada, like making relationships, having fun. We're probably at that point in the seeding pool where it is really about having fun. I think there's not much better than a Canadian championship. When we, even from a spectator's point of view, what we get to watch. You get to cheer on your province and territory as they take on all of Canada. So, a few years ago we had the relegation rounds that kind of put Nova Scotia and some of the other maritime provinces and probably some of the territories out of those big tournaments. And, I think that was a real detriment to rural curling.
There was some pushback as well right away from that, wasn't there?
Yeah, and that's why we're back to a full national event.
And it makes for a larger field, and therefore more curling and potentially more draws. Not potentially, definitely more draws. And they pool it out even at the big levels now, don't they? Because it's not just you play all 13 of the teams.
Yeah. No, and I understand the rationale behind that. You didn't have those blowouts. It was more competitive when you had, those higher quality teams. There's definitely certain provinces that, have bigger stars than most. So I do understand the rationale, but, in truly Canadian fashion, it's not an event unless we're all here.
But the other thing it did is it brought in order to make it even and easier to schedule, it brought in wildcards that were never a thing before. So it allowed, on the other side of that, some teams that could be the second best team in the country, but because they're in the same jurisdiction as the best team in the country, never even made it.
Yeah, we have 14 teams in those events. I think they have 16.
Right.
16, yeah.
So, I think on one side, it gets everyone involved, but on the other side, it also increases the competitiveness at the upper end with the wildcards.
They might even have 18 teams. I'm not even sure. There's a lot of teams at those big events, and, I think they could come up with a better name than Wildcard, but Wildcard 1, Wildcard 2, and Wildcard 3.
Well, like end number 1, it looks like they're going to keep some rocks in play in this end as well. As Northwest Territories throws a couple guards up, Ontario goes behind, and they've got one up there as well. So there's a wall in front of the buried Northern Ontario rock.
Yeah, I don't think that was the plan for Northwest Territories. So already a little bit behind the ball with 2 centerline guards and Northern Ontario behind it. Northern Ontario is probably quite happy. And so Northwest Territories having to take a rock to remove their own guards.
Which they're allowed to do.
Which they're allowed to do.
You can get rid of your own, you just can't get rid of somebody else's. So if this red one goes out, does it go back where it was? Or have we already passed the rock rule? No, obviously we have. Just passed.
And if I'm Al Hackner, I'm starting to wonder if the curling gods are against me. Like, they made that run of the 2 guards, and now they're sitting 1 corner buried behind a corner guard. 2 center guards, and now we have 2 corner guards with 1 behind. So that was a fantastic shot by Northwest Territories.
Whoa, whoa. All right. Good enough.
And that's going to open things up. They get rid of the higher guard and expose the rock in the rings.
Be interesting if they split the rings or if they again go guard in front of their stone they have there now. Oh, splitting the rings.
Kind of the normal thing to do when you have the hammer.
I think that's fairly old school, to be honest.
Okay.
I think with the 5 rock
This is
rule,
seniors.
it takes away the need to throw those high speed run back doubles when you're keeping everything open. Everyone's been quite happy here trying to get a deuce and, give them 1, take 2. I'm sure Aaron said that yesterday.
Yes, he did.
Well.
Yeah, and avoiding the crooked numbers, avoiding those big numbers.
Sweepers are staying back.
Off of it completely.
Yeah, so it's definitely not light. Looks like it's going to stick. Great shot.
And just right at the tee. So you were talking about directional curling, not directional sweeping, and we were talking about that yesterday as well in it. I think you're a proponent of it.
Yeah, for different reasons, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it's great. You talk about there's so much involved in it. The brooms, for instance, like, they're significantly different than what we've had, for 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of friction, the amount of heat that they can produce, and you're talking about even the micro scratches that they make on the ice that can cause the rock to catch and kind of turn quicker. It's just a completely different game. We've had 2 sweepers sweep a stone for ice for 100 years.
For generations.
Yeah, and come to find out they were canceling each other out the whole time. Like, it's just in my head, different ball game. I'm far from the expert on it, but I quite like it, and it saves your sweepers too, because you only have 1 sweeping each stone the majority of the time to keep it straight. And by the end of a tournament like this, your sweepers are extremely tired, extremely gassed per se. Like, I've had 2 of my teammates lose 5 to 10 pounds in a weekend of curling. So, it's a physically demanding sport.
I was going to say that. People that don't curl, obviously the whole thing being on the ice with, even if with grips on, is different for some people. But I don't think they realize, especially for the first 2, especially for the lead and the second, the amount of sweeping that they do, how much physical effort is needed. And you certainly see that. Anyone that's watching, the big events, the big curling, weight rooms are a big part of curling teams' fitness routines right now, especially in the first 2.
Yeah, and even here this weekend, you notice the teams that are in the championship pool are how do I say it politely? A little bit healthier, a little bit skinnier, a little bit, you can tell that they spend more time at the gym than in the patch, like some of the other teams I met last night. Like, it's become a sport where you need to take the time to worry about your health.
Curl like crazy. Yeah.
So right now we have, still looks like Northwest Territories with shot rock.
It's like we're playing the draw there to cut out the other 2 Northern Ontario stones.
They were just commenting on that last one that it moved more than they thought it would.
Well, this is an important shot, because if he doesn't put it in a good spot, Northern Ontario has an open hit to sit 3. But look at this. Beautiful shot. Even with the other yellow. No chance of a double. That's an end saver right there.
Down to skip rocks now, and looks like he's going to go after the one on the right.
If you didn't make that shot, then you're really looking at a 1 spot for the end for Northwest Territories, and now keeping the deuce back in play.
Firm enough.
Yes, and no real reason here, to, at least on this rock, to try to roll it over to the other side, because that would just leave you exposed for a run back as well.
Not much you can do with it. Maybe roll under a little bit.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Sweeping to make it curl, as we talked about.
Just keeping it out there.
Be interesting
Wow.
to see what Northwest Territories, they're talking about the draw.
No.
Always worries me to leave so many red rocks in play, but again, they don't have to worry. They have the hammer, but
And it is wide open. There's nothing guarding, it's a free rein in front there, and you know that Hackner's next rock is going to be trying to pick at least one off.
I wanted to throw it softer, but
And I guess the only thing you'd be concerned about is being just a little too heavy on this. So if you get behind the tee line, something that Northern Ontario could cozy up to, freeze to.
yeah, could possibly give them an out. If they're sitting 2, I would assume they're going to hit. Willing to give up a deuce, but not willing to give up 3. So they're probably at all costs not leaving 3 rocks in there, both yellows in the rings. Glenn Hoodie with his first.
Go hard. Hard, hard, hard. Hard.
So unlike the last one that they left alone,
Have a look, have a look. Have a look.
they were on that one relatively quickly.
Feeling good about it, though.
Yeah, I think so too.
I guess it's there. Let's go for it.
So
Well, we just heard it over the mic. I guess it's there. Let's go for it. So going for the double, I think.
yeah, I think if I was Northwest Territories, I would have tried to drag that to the back of the house, actually, to take away the double. I don't think he would have played the draw to sit on top. He would have had to hit one of them. Probably the one at the back of the house for shot rock and concede his deuce. But
I think
right
it's
now
there. We
he's
gotta throw this
left the
for
door
him.
open for Northern Ontario to remove both their stones.
And be forced into a 1 on their side.
In shooting against 4, which as a skip, no one likes.
Nobody
to do.
likes to do
No,
that.
Not in the second end.
So once again, based on the ice that we were seeing that they were giving here, and they are on this quickly, both of them.
He said, whoa.
Well, didn't quite get it as, would that be called as thin as he wanted to?
Yeah, that was a good shot. That was, not the best outcome. Obviously that was making the double, but it's slightly overlapped. So Northwest Territories needs to make a really good shot with probably a little less weight to stick for 2.
Oh, yeah. I thought I chucked that pretty hard.
And they certainly have to go after the Northern Ontario rock, as it is shot rock. And you can just overhear Al Hackner again saying, I thought it was hard enough.
They were on it early, so usually for me what that means is he was either a little bit tight or it didn't have enough ice. Sweeping to make it curl, so I think that's a good thing for this shot. That means he's gonna slide by. There you go, little catcher on the 12-foot.
A little bit of backing, well, siding in this case, because it was over to the side, but they got the 2. So after 2 ends, Northwest Territories 2, Northern Ontario 1, and we'll be back in a moment. There we are. Now I hear us. So we're back for the beginning of the 3rd end. Nick, maybe with some updates from our other ends today.
Yeah, I'd love to update you on the other games that are going on here today. The only problem is I can't see the scoreboards. On Ice E here, we have Nunavut versus PEI. PEI up 3-0. on the second ice in the women's division. That was the men's division because we both have 2 games of PEI versus Nunavut. In the women's division, PEI is up 1-0 after 1. And Team Northwest Territories versus Team New Brunswick in the women's division. Northwest Territories took a point in the first end.
Everyone was nice enough to kind of give us a little bit of things to talk about. And from Northern Ontario, it was literally just Rob Sinclair that kind of put a bit of a bio out. And they called them fillers, I guess, so we'll get into that. It says, first off, his name's Robin, although he does go by Rob. His entire family are curlers, and from grandparents all the way to his 2 daughters. His father won a Canadian telephone championship in 1975. Now, I don't know what that is.
Got me.
Okay. His daughter competed in the under-18 nationals last May in Oakville.
Curling truly is a family sport, I think. I got into it because my parents were there, and I'm curling, and hopefully I don't have any biological kids of my own. I have a stepdaughter that I tried to drag there. That didn't work out. But
you can only try, though.
Yeah, but my brother's kids, I plan on dragging them into the rink as soon as possible.
It says he retired from curling in 2010, after the 2010 season, after his youngest daughter was born, but was lured back to play by Al Hackner. He probably has that type of pull.
Yeah, I think that would be an easy decision.
So what we've seen in the first 2 ends seems to be continuing here, as we've got both teams putting guards up. So more rocks in play.
Again, we didn't see the first stone, but I'm assuming Northwest Territories was light on their first. No need for a center line guard. Well, I could be wrong about that, but definitely
heavy on the second one. There's no doubt about that one.
Yeah.
Now Hackner's looking to bury one on the right side under his guard.
They have a corner guard, but it's a ways to the wings, so this would have to be a biter around there to be completely hidden. I will say the first 2 ends, lots of good shots being made, though.
Well, it's helpful when you have some rocks in play.
Yeah.
It gives you options for seeing things as compared to here's one in the house, here's one peeled away, and blanking ends.
It's a really good shot.
They're trying to drag it as far as they can. They're going to be able to see at least a little bit of it, though. Once again, first shot of the match out there. So learning the ice and learning the weight as you're trying to go to a different area.
I mean, Al Hackner's got what he wanted. He's got a corner guard and one behind it, and Northwest Territories is ignoring it. So, I'm assuming Al Hackner will start to remove their stones with their next shot and set up for the deuce, depending on where this is.
They're trying to bring it around just with better weight than the last one. Literally just the same shot as last time.
We don't get to do a lot of competitive curling here in Yarmouth. So because that's behind the tee line, kind of takes the need to remove the guard out for now. They can get one in front and also have that rock behind their corner guard.
Looks like he's just trying to follow this one in based on where he's positioning the broom.
So much curl, a guard has to be, exact. There's just so much room to come around something to, make something happen.
And especially, as we said earlier, with the finish, if you've got the correct weight, the finish that you can actually accomplish. And this one's just a little too heavy, and it's going to slide right on by.
Yeah, that's a shame. Giving Northwest Territories room to put a little bit of pressure on here.
And it looks like they're going to follow theirs back in as well.
It's all about staying in front of that tee line. Anything behind it is as good as it is to be shot rock. Just gives everyone else something to sit on.
The strategy at the end kind of throws that.
It does. It changes right off the bat, knowing that, with that curl, there's room to put one on the nose of it that you might not be able to remove.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
They're off of it right away here.
Well, it's looking pretty good. Not quite as deep as they wanted, but making Northern Ontario play the stone. That's
Certainly
the
very
idea.
visible. Is there a double here? A run back double?
Yeah, there probably is.
Yep, yep.
Certainly coming with some weight.
Really hard,
So it sounds like they're
Hard.
inside. Looks like they might roll under.
hard. Wow, good sweeping.
If that sticks, that's 2 dirty stones over there.
All right.
And that one is really well positioned as a biter at that end.
Yep. So now you can see Northwest Territories knows that
He was
that's
a little tight.
they have a problem over there.
And that's where Hootie is looking at right now, and the best way to get there. And once again, great to say, let's get this and get a roll, but there's not a lot of room from the edge of the ice to where the
This is going to be
border is of
this,
the ice.
This is going to be high weight, and depending on, it has to be really good because I've seen a few drift out here and rub the sideboards. So he's definitely inside. Looking pretty good. Well thrown stone right there.
But as you said, drifting a bit, and it does tap, which means it's out. But they did what they needed to do.
Yep.
It'd be great if they could have 2 parts of that puzzle, but getting rid of the stone was the most important priority in that throw.
Supposed
Yep.
to be there to carve it. And
It's a good throw. Going to see Northern Ontario come back to that stone behind the tee line, I think.
It's the age, I think. Hey? We're
This
older.
time trying to remove it to sit
Eh,
to.
Sometimes, who cares? Hey, hack weight.
So we're seeing this hack weight. That's what he called for.
I think that's named after him.
If you buy him a pop after the match, you might say yes.
Yep. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Yep, hard. Hard. Hard.
Really looking to sweep this.
Hard.
And is just going to rub off that guard and slide on by. So a little inside from the beginning. I think they tried to straighten it out or keep it as straight as they could, but to no avail. They did move the guard over, so you could see the rock, and now you can see it even more, but that's going to give Northwest Territories another opportunity to freeze up to their own.
Yep, come around, sit top 4 maybe.
Based on the point, he thinks that it's well outside, and
It's important to kind of...
they're sweeping on the inside. They're sweeping to curl it. Sorry, Nick.
No, it's important to kind of bury a corner of it so that Al Hackner can't roll underneath, which they've done that. It's quite high, but they've done that. Be interesting to know what Al does, if he clears the guards or if he continues to come around and try to sit on top of theirs.
Is there a possibility if he tries to clear both the guard, because I mean the double's obviously there, but is there the possibility of something wrecking on his stone in the rings?
No, they're pretty even. I think that stone's pretty safe. The only rock that could probably hit it is his own, depending on where he hits that top one. If he hits it too thin, yeah, he could kill his own stone. And then it would probably be wide open for Northwest Territories to remove and have Northern Ontario forced to the 1. It is thin, so we'll see where it goes. Just over top,
Okay,
though.
we're shot. Second shot.
And it wrecked on top, so only got rid of the 1.
You got some power today, Frank. Threw that pretty good, just tracked.
Hackner talking to his third, Frank Morissette, saying he's got some power today. He's bringing the heat early in the morning.
Not my favorite draw of the day.
I don't think it's anyone's.
Especially 5 days in. I give them all credit for, being here, being excited, being into the games.
And to get a bit of a break tomorrow, as the first draw is not till 10 a.m., so nobody has that early wake-up call tomorrow.
What time is it in Northern Ontario? 6:30?
It's just an hour difference.
That's far. That's far west. That's a great shot.
That's really nice. That really finished well, exactly where he wants to be.
So up by 1 here in the third end, looking to force Northern Ontario to 1, get the hammer back and go for another deuce. Like Northwest Territories is playing well and playing the game well.
As you said, give up 1, get 2, give up 1, get 2 is a strategy for winning. Al Hackner's first rock. We're into skip rocks now. That was Hootie's first rock that he buried in there very nicely, put it exactly, I think, where he wanted to.
It was perfect. As good as it was, I'd love to see a run back triple.
Something for the replay booth.
Hard. Whoa, whoa.
We're going to get 2 for sure. It's a nice shot. Got to go, though. Get it out.
Or at least get it. Yeah.
Oh, we got 2 of them. Got 2 of them.
It's a good shot.
So now you're looking to, where do you want to put this one? I mean, they're looking at it. It looks like they're going to pretty much do what they did last time. Bury it if you can on the top of the 4. Take away the double, like force them to a draw.
Well, by making that last double, it does possibly give them an opportunity to score a deuce here, depending on where he's put where Northern or Northwest Territories puts us.
They're giving a lot of ice here.
Welcome to arena curling. If they put this open and Northern Ontario has a shot at a double, they are sitting second shot right now.
Off it from the get-go, so it's probably a little heavier than they thought.
It's going to rub the 1 in the rings here.
So there is some separation.
I guess we gotta
The
follow
question
that.
is, can you get, and I mean, you can certainly see that first one, the double's there.
It is, but you'd have to throw the run back on the guard, and he's just not willing to do that. You'd be taking the chance to give up 2 and put the game out of reach, so he's going for the straight draw.
With a bit of a backing there, so like he could tap the other that just came in. And
You definitely don't need to be light, but like we've seen here, that's a lot of ice. If you throw any extra weight, you're going to slide right by.
we've already seen that in this end,
Yeah.
early on.
I'll have some bumping speed. I got fairly tight ice.
He said that's
I've
tight
got
ice.
tight ice.
That's 5 feet of ice. But like you said, he's playing the bump, so
A lot of room.
needs to be precise.
A lot of room. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa.
They want off of it. They want it to.
The sweepers think it's good, so you got that going for you.
Get it in there. Hard. Hard all the way.
Looks really good. Right to the nose for 1. That's a
Bumping it enough to ensure that they get the 1.
good shot.
So with hammer, Northern Ontario ties the game up at 2 apiece after 3. We'll be back in a moment.
The Curling Cares calendar is back for 2023. 25 curling athletes from 7 different nations are raising money for various charities. Support them by purchasing yours today at curlingcares.com.
Well, welcome back to Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, 2022 Everest Senior Canadian Championships. It's a warm day here in Yarmouth, but it's foggy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Those mid-December 10-degree weather that we get occasionally down here.
Yeah,
The
it's been
banana
very-
belt of Nova Scotia.
Very mild, but I think the teams have quite enjoyed that. We've had some teams hit the Yarmouth links this week, and as we get to seeding rounds, I think we'll see some more requests to get out and play a round of golf, so that's exciting.
Yes, it is.
On the other ices, we have New Brunswick, who picked up a deuce to lead Northwest Territories in the women's game, 2-1. On ice E, in the men's division, PEI up 3-2 with the hammer over Nunavut. And in the women's division, 1-1 PEI Nunavut. So some close games on the other ices.
Back to some information, and this is for the lead of Team Northwest Territories, Richard Klakowicz. He's employment, retired since 2019. He was with Environment Canada, jobs in water and weather. Four-time participant in the Canadian 55-plus games, and we're certainly familiar with that as Yarmouth just hosted that last year. And won 9 Northwest Territories Senior Championships. In 2016 in Brampton, Ontario, he participated in the 50-meter dash and received a gold medal.
That won't be me.
So way to go, Richard.
So we also have a couple games down at the Yarmouth Curling Club today. We don't have the updates. You can find those online, but it's been a really well-done event with 5 ices here and 3 down at the local club. Numerous ice techs here that I can't speak to how good the remarks have been about the quality of ice.
Yeah, the games down at the Curling Club were Manitoba versus Northern Ontario in the women's game and Newfoundland versus Yukon Territory on the men's side of the seeding pool.
Yeah, that's one side effect to not making the championship round is you have to play the 8:30 game the first day of playoffs.
You're here bright and early. So once again, we've got some rocks in play. It's been an exciting game from that standpoint. From end one, there's been an aggressive nature to how they've wanted to play the game.
Yeah, it'd be really exciting to see Northwest Territories pick up their first win. Northern Ontario would probably disagree with that, but for the boys, it's a good. Feels good to come to a national championship and you need to go home with at least one win. So really hoping for the boys to pull that one out.
And I think that's part of the seeding processes, the seeding pool, if you will, because people that didn't do as well in the preliminary round robin portion are now playing each other. Mm-hmm. And so the expectation is on both sides is there's going to be very competitive games.
Yep.
Either from in the championship pool or the seeding pool.
We talked about Yarmouth hosting the 55 games, but think about the things that our little community has hosted in the last few years. We had the 2017 Canadian Mix, the 55 games. We're here again, again for this event. We have Nova Scotia Music Week next year. Like the host committees here are above none, and Yarmouth and Acadian Shores puts on a good show. The Travel Media Association of Canada was here already this year for their first event since the pandemic. Really, the local host committees, our local tourism committees, our local sponsorships, which you see plastered around the arena here. We can't speak to how well the community supports these events.
And we just saw something there, and it's just a nice little replay. Thanks for bringing that up, Booth. A beautiful double early in the round, or early in the end, excuse me. And as a result of that, Northern Ontario sitting with a lot of rocks. And Northwest Territory is going to say, let's get rid of that guard.
So with no guards in play, Northwest Territories, I guess Northern Ontario would be looking to force them to one right now and get the hammer back and see what they can do.
Long way out, got a curl. Yeah, getting better, yeah, bring it in now. Nice line. Okay, easy. Whoa.
Just looking for to guard what they have in there.
All right.
High guard right on the center line. Once again, we'd like to thank everyone for joining our streaming coverage of the 2022 Everest Canadian Seniors Curling Championship. This draw being brought to you by Besh Nutraceuticals.
Yep. Whoa.
And at least early in the round here, it looks like it's going to be I'll throw a guard up, I'll peel that guard away. Well, that's a run back attempt.
That was a good stone. Got the rock off the top of the house on the center line, opening up the 4-foot.
Would you preferred not leaving his there though, or is
it was really impossible to make that shot
to make the run back?
Yeah.
If you're looking for the run back, it's impossible.
But I think if you would have straight peeled it, he was happy, and I'd be happy with that shot too. Opening up the forefoot is important for your skips last stone with hammer.
Whoa, got room. Got a curl. Not curling yet. Not deep. Not deep. Top 4.
So they think it's going top 4.
Let it die. Let it die.
Northern Ontario's got a lot of pressure on right now. All these rocks in the forefoot, and that one's buried.
So they are. Just the experience, and it's even for you, because I've even curled on the ice with you a couple of times. I compared to myself, that rock's 30 feet down. He's looking at the speed, and he's saying top 4 is where it's going to go. Leave it alone. They left it alone. And where is it? Top 4.
A few years ago, you know, everyone had a stopwatch in their hand, and you don't see that as much anymore. They've gone back to just eyeing it up. Like, it's unbelievable. But I guess if you watch enough stones, you can eventually figure that out. But I haven't mastered that yet by any means.
I saw when I was doing the on ice camera the first time, and I was talking to the Alberta skip, because it was during the practice rounds when they were doing it, and they had the watches out, and I was asking about the timing, and he said, yes, it's from the tee line to the hog line. And he said, and then secondarily from hog to hog, because you want to make sure that there wasn't that little push or that little drawback from the curler when they were releasing it, as they were trying to figure out what kind of weight they had to throw. But you're right, I don't see them. I think that was just to kind of let them know, at least at the beginning of the game, this is what the weight that you need to throw is. And then at that point, they know what that is coming out of the hack.
Yeah, no, it's adds a whole nother dimension to the game.
Yeah, hard. All right.
That's a whole lot of red stones.
That's a lot of red stones there. You got to think they're going to look to try to double that, at least the 2 closest ones out. There's room.
It took us time curling, eh?
And that's an interesting comment from, because once again, Al Hackner's mic, so occasionally you're hearing his comments come through, and saying that one took a little longer to curl than he expected to for the weight that it had.
Everyone's delivery is a little bit different. It makes each rock curl a little bit different. No skip's happy when you change your delivery mid-tournament, so just a piece of it, but
is it going to bite? It is not.
Well, let's try this way, I think.
So not what they were hoping to do, but at least getting one out of there.
Big lots.
Still pressure firmly being put on by Northern Ontario here in the 4th end. Down to skip rocks again.
Okay. Same weight as last end. Got a lot of ice, so it'll go.
Same weight as last end. There's a lot of ice, but it'll go.
yeah, it's great listening to them talk about how they see the game happening and unfolding. I was saying earlier, we don't get a lot of competitive games that, you know, at our rural clubs, not those provincial or national level games. So exciting to see their strategy and how they view the game.
Curl.
Still, like the last one, wants it to come in, wants it to curl, and it's not moving.
Still gliding. So right on. It's not a bad shot at all. That's going to be very hard to remove.
6 feet, it curls 4 feet. Crazy.
Gave it 6 feet, and it curled 4.
I like where it is, actually. It's going to be really hard for them to move. You know, that's a rock that could create a lot of difficulty for Northwest Territories to even score here.
And Northwest Territories taking a look at this one now.
Yeah. That's a rock that needs 2 rocks to remove it, and when you only have 2 rocks left, you got to throw 2 really well placed rocks to get your points.
So giving no ice on the rock on the edge of the 8.
I think he's throwing the draw to the center, is he not?
Man, just
Boy, based on ice, Do you think maybe they're learning from the last one where it wasn't curling as much and not giving as much ice on that side?
Tell you in a second.
Yeah, we'll see how quick it is. Is it that or?
It's throwing enough to bump here, at least.
Looking for it to curl more.
They're on the guard. Oh,
Just by.
That's a great shot.
And there's the bump. They're still not shot rock.
So they needed a bump to separate those back two to
Make it removable?
To make anything removable on their next shot. Like I said, it's going to take 2 shots to remove that. So what does Hector Newt do now? I think he's straight guarding by the looks.
By straight guarding, I mean, obviously they still have to come around from the other side to get to the button.
That's what you're giving them.
But that's what you're giving them. You're forcing them into the one.
Yeah. And there's nothing easy about a draw for a piece of the button.
No.
I stuck it out there pretty good.
So she said he stuck it out there pretty good. He gave him a lot of ice.
Off the end. Yeah. Yeah, good line. Hard. Finish it hard.
And they're just trying to drag it as close to the rings as possible.
Hard,
They're
guys.
okay that it's a high guard.
Yeah, as long as it's
plugging a hole.
That's right.
Good enough.
Good enough. Maybe not have been exactly where he wanted it, but
did its job. They're playing the
What kind
draw.
of ice it is. Slide out wide and just set it and spin it, and it's okay.
Northern Ontario is probably quite happy with that end. You know, they're sitting one with a chance, a real chance to steal one here.
and as we've seen, if there's any type of up weight here, and I mean any, the slightest, and it's going to slide by. We've seen that.
You know, to be a high level, high caliber skip, you need to have this shot in your back pocket, but at the same time, it's a really hard shot.
Coming down.
And they're off it completely.
Yeah.
So they know they don't need to drag it there.
Ice is good.
Coming down. It's coming down.
Man, he's close. Did they left it too long?
They left it too long.
Wow.
It just dug in and stopped, and we have a steal of one. Northern Ontario at the end of 4, up 3-2 over the Northwest Territories, and we'll be back in a moment.
It's a beautiful blend of strategy, skill, and creativity. Curling. But it's our people that make us great. We're a mosaic of countless experiences. We communicate and collaborate. We value new ideas and different perspectives. We learn from our past and from our future. We may even disagree sometimes, but it's in our differences that we can see our strengths. The beauty of our sport is reflected in our people and our values. Regardless of your ethnicity or gender, your abilities, your stage in life, your beliefs, or who you love. The rocks and the ice don't discriminate. And as curlers, we won't either. We will be the change that we want to see in the world. Curling is a place for everyone.
The Curling Cares calendar is back for 2023. 25 curling athletes from 7 different nations are raising money for various charities. Support them by purchasing yours today at curlingcares.com.
It's time to experience the wonder and excitement of Yarmouth and Acadian shores. Stay at one of the many charming accommodations, adventure along the ocean coast, or just be cozy by the fire and enjoy some of the darkest and clearest skies in North America. This December, be a part of the action with the Everest Canadian Senior Curling Championship. You'll find all of this and so much more with your special getaway in Yarmouth and Acadian shores.
Good morning, curling fans, and welcome back to the 2022 Everest Canadian Seniors Curling Championships, brought to you from the Mariner Centre in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. And we've got this draw brought to you by Besh Nutraceuticals. At the midway point, after the fourth end, we've got Northern Ontario up 3-2 over the Northwest Territories. My name's Dave Doucette. With me today, Nick Hilton. And Nick, your thoughts on the game so far?
Yeah, it's been a really close game. Lots of well-thrown shots. Unfortunately for Northwest Territories, they came up a little light for their draw to the button in the fourth, giving a steal to one to Northern Ontario. And they really shouldn't have, because that skipped through that shot really well, and the sweepers unfortunately let them down a little bit. But yeah, really good, well-thrown game so far.
So as a result, Northwest Territories will retain hammer here in the fifth end. Both teams, nobody's given up that big end, and I think that's what you really don't. You don't want those threes or those fours, because in an 8-end game, that can get you behind the 8 ball very quickly.
Yeah, like on ice E right now, PEI is up 7-2 with 3 ends remaining. There's not a whole lot you can do if you're none of it at this point, but we'll watch that one. And on ice 4, you have in the women's game, that was the men's score 7-2. In the women's game, you have PEI up 4-1. So that's a little bit closer. You know, you have a chance in 3 ends to come back from that. And on ice B, you have New Brunswick and Northwest Territories women. Actually, they've put the score up since we last looked. It's 3-2 for the Northwest Territories.
And they're at the midway point as well after 4 ends. So we're about to get going again here to start the fifth end. We'll continue on with our player profiles. Next up is Franz Juba from the Team Northwest Territories. And let's see, what did they write for us for this? Works as a geophysicist with Aurora Geosciences. That's just a little too many syllables for this early in the morning, Nick.
Sounds dangerous to me.
Based in Yellowknife. They provide geological services and act as consultants for mineral exploration. Married to his beautiful wife, Corinne, and that is the only way that you should write a profile. And they'll be celebrating 25 years of marriage this month. Let's see, during the summer, he competes with his 2 Labrador Retrievers, Rio and Timber, in the sport of dog agility. There we go, a little bit about Franz Juba. Northern Ontario with the lead rock, and based on speed, looks like we're going to continue the trend. And
Short.
Putting a guard up right away and keeping some rocks in play.
So you've been around the arts and entertainment kind of, I don't even know, market a little bit in your lifetime. You enjoy that a little bit. Can you speak to the quality of the production that Mile East Productions is putting on here at Mariner Centre?
It seems incredible. It really does. When you think for a tournament like this, and granted, with the curling event that's come here, they were able to get some equipment that they didn't have before, an additional overhead camera that they can actually move, I can't remember what it's, PTZ, I believe it's called. And so not only is it used for this, but then it ends up being used again for other things, like hockey, primarily, and that's what they do with this rink. It's a hockey rink when they do it. But every time something like this comes along, all of a sudden, okay, we gain this software. We gain this graphics. We gain this way to stream an event somewhere. We've gained an additional camera that we can use in a new way. So every time this happens, you gain some knowledge, some production knowledge that allows you to go forward and potentially do this, or maybe even move up to an even higher level event in curling.
Yeah, I think I said Mile East Productions, which is the production company that's running the entire event, but I meant to say Mariner Center Media.
Yes.
The staff here have been absolutely amazing and pulling this together for us. And, you know, the 2017, each event we leave a legacy, some equipment here, and that's the stuff you're talking about specifically, which they now use to stream our local Junior A Mariners games.
Yep, Junior A and high school and occasionally even minor hockey. And we talk about how busy the Mariners Center is going to be in the month of December. This was by far the key event as number one, but in a couple weekends, obviously this one's going over 2 weekends, but the weekend after that, there's a big high school male hockey tournament that's going to be an 8-team tournament. That'll be lasting 3 or 4 days, and that's always big. That comes up, and then between Christmas and New Year's, they are putting together a big minor hockey tournament. So multiple levels, multiple teams from all over the province. So a very busy period here for MC Media and the Mariners Center leading up to and after Christmas.
We are a hockey town, but this has been a nice week to show everyone else the how beautiful a sport curling can be.
And showcasing it, right?
Yeah,
putting it out there. Let people see that it's there, and it's great that if they're watching it by a streaming network, if they're coming in the stands here to watch some games. And I expect that as the tournament goes on and we get into the medal rounds and the playoff games at the end, that we'll probably see more and more people come out here to see the games as well.
Okay, that'll work.
Another good shot by Northern Ontario is they're once again putting pressure on the Yukon in the fifth end.
You guys are drinking.
Yeah, they're not really letting off the gas here, given no chance for Northwest Territories to set up for anything. See Al Hackner communicating with the local volunteer group there. That's the difference between the championship round and the seeding round right there. A little bit more social, a little bit more get a better chance to enjoy your week.
Yes, on the championship pool, teams are playing 3 more games, 3 or 4. I think 3 more games.
I had a friend of mine that was a teacher.
And that's going to allow them, no, 4. It's 4 more in the championship game, sorry, in the championship pool. And that's going to allow them to really, you have to become top 4 at that point, because it's just going to be 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3. So every game will be so important. And I believe, based on just the way that they kept the scores up, that what you did in the round robin just gets added on to. The games that are not thrown away, they're added onto. So if you started off, as I believe, as I look at my notes on the men's side, Manitoba did 6-0, or Nova Scotia 5-1, Ontario 5-1. That's a great start and gives you that little bit of leeway that you can still lose a game or 2 in the championship pool and still be part of the top 4.
Absolutely, and you have New Brunswick on the other end of that at 3-3, who has no room to make any errors. So, you know, how you curled this week from start to finish is important. The people at the bottom of that championship pool need to now run the table to make that work.
And the thing that makes that interesting, because of the Pool A and Pool B set up in both male and female, men's and women's, is that you haven't played any of these teams. They were in a separate pool. So you're really not sure how they stack up, because they're seeded based on what people think they're going to be on national rankings, I assume. But when you're out here playing the game, that's when it really matters.
Yeah, and we're talking about the men's division with Manitoba at 6-0. But I'd definitely like to give a shout out to our local Nova Scotia team. Both Nova Scotia teams, men's and women's, sitting at 5-1. So they're both experiencing a great week here in Yarmouth, and we've heard nothing but good things from them about representing their province in their own province. So excited to have them both here.
That takeout ended up wrecking on the back. So Shot Rock, I believe, though. No, not Shot Rock. Northern Ontario still shot at the back of the red. Back of the forefoot.
See Northern Ontario remove that yellow one here, I would assume. Although there's lots of chances to wreck in the back there.
Yes, they'll have to be very careful what they do here, because
Or jam in the back, I should say. Curling terms.
That's right. That's what you're here for. All those curling terms I don't know.
Jam and wreck. Really killing it.
Really hard.
A little bit outside. They're sweeping to make
Really
it curl.
hard.
Are they going to wreck on the back?
right.
No. Just
Okay.
squeaked it by.
So once again, the pressure's still on. Northern Ontario with two rocks in the house.
This is an important shot for Northwest Territories. You got one at the back of the forefoot, a chance to glue one in there. And really, this would be your chance to set up your deuce. And they need to do that after giving up the steal on the last end.
So they're going to come from their left to right in.
Just the way the guards are staggered, this turn provides the best opportunity to sneak one in there.
Now, the fact that the red's there, and I say this because I know that it's so fine a line here in terms of weight, but you do at least have a bit of a backing as well. If you're just a smidge heavy, like you've got the red one at the back. I mean, they're not.
You do, but again, that puts you in back at the tee line, and that's
So you
not
don't
where
want to do that.
So they're wrecking on the guard here. You could see right out of his hand he must have been tight. At this point in the game, that's a big deal. That's a big miss.
Do you see Northern Ontario doing the exact same shot right now? Trying to come around here to put even more pressure on them?
Yeah, and to be honest, this will really shut off the end for them if they place it well. Shut off the end for Northwest Territories.
Second rock for Morissette. I think he was given a little more ice, too. Now, I'm not saying that the ice was wrong last time. He could have been just a shade inside the broom.
I've heard them say it depends. You know, you get a little bit farther out, you get a little bit more curl. It'd be interesting to have an ice tech come up and share some of their knowledge on what they've seen in the ice. So that's two stones.
Same thing.
2 stones in a row, yeah.
Yeah, you might have been here.
So I think based on where he put the broom, saying you might have been here, and it was about midway in the white ring.
Sure, good. Just curl
Is that saying that he thinks he was just a shade light?
I would say, and that's maybe what caused it to over
I
curl.
thought. And when you let it go, you're way. At one point, I'm saying
But
way out
you can
there.
see where the guards are placed.
Wow.
And he was just talking to Morissette there. When he let it go, he was way out there, and he didn't think it was ever going to come back as much as it ended up coming back.
So that could be ice, that could be handle, that could be weight.
where this
Like, it's
one
just a mix of everything.
A lot of factors.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right now with the four stones at the front of the house, there's not much, so they're clearing things out to start again. Be interesting to see where this ends up, where the back yellow ends up.
Get on it hard.
That's a good shot.
Clears away that front.
Gets you second shot too,
Well,
which is
what
good,
should we
and
do?
it looks to be
Draw there. or
relatively
cover
buried,
that?
although behind the tee line.
Bounce that.
Both are. Ontario counting, what, 1, 3, and 4 right now.
Okay. 12 foot. It'll curl. Right there.
So looking to bury this one behind his guard on the upper left, I would assume, based on where the ice is.
Guard, tight guard.
Yeah,
I
with
guess.
how close all
Find
those
the
rocks
line,
are to
just
the
gotta find the
house,
line
including the
somehow.
one in the 12 foot, there's not a whole
Just-
lot of room
just
there
touch
to
the line if you're
sneak
sweeping.
behind anything, but
And I'm saying come in, I don't think maybe he's just plugging the hole. Because he still has shot rock.
as we get to the end, I get a little bit more quiet because I'm truly
You're watching.
I'm truly engaged in the game here.
A long way to go. Yeah, carry it hard, hard. Got to go hard. Have a look.
It's definitely light. It's definitely going to be a guard weight.
Yeah, and he said a long way to go, and that just means where he wants it to finish. And he wanted to get it
Whoa.
along the center line.
There.
Yep, great shot.
And there it is, just
Wow.
very difficult to get to the red rock, that shot rock, the Northern Ontario rock, that shot rock right
At the
now.
hog line, it was on the other side of that sign.
They seem to be quite. I'm not sure if it's concerned, but you know, seeing something in the ice there that they're getting significant more curl outside in on that side. So
This finish is so hard, eh?
So we've seen this happen, and we've seen the Northwest Territories get out of a jam before, but we've also seen Northern Ontario steal in the last end. But this is once again setting up for Northern Ontario, putting substantial pressure at the end on Northwest Territories to try to get themselves out of this.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen an end with this many guards covering that much of the forefoot, so they're feeling the pressure here a bit, I think.
And nothing they can even raise here. Almost everything out there is red, and the one yellow is kind of overlapped underneath with a red, so nothing they can even raise if they'd want to.
Good news is he's seen a few shots down this line. See how well they read the ice, so their mate's saying it's a little bit outside. Definitely going to wreck on the guards.
That one's going to be brought in. It's
third shot,
not going to, not going to factor in.
But leaving them two yellow stones for a possible run back on the one in the forefoot.
Is that what you guard now if you're Northern Ontario? Do you make that a more difficult run back for those two? Or you're still shot rock and you're number 3 after that?
He was talking about a raise there on the one at the top of the 12. Maybe going for the throat here and sit 2, and you know, you get 2 here, make it 5-2. You're kind of laughing going into the last 3 ends.
So with a raise like that, though, if you're going to do that, I mean, obviously, if it's a perfect shot, it's a perfect shot. That's great. But it also, if you get rid of that one at the top, allows,
if you open it up,
allows the entryway in for the draw to once again let Northwest Territories bail themselves out of an end.
Yeah, they're clearly listening to you because they're going to play the straight draw and leave that guard where it is, or that one at the top of the 12 where it is.
Anyone that's clearly listening to me should not be playing in this event.
But he does want to sit 2. That's very clear.
Yes, if they can get, I mean, they're set up to do well here. So,
I don't really want to open them
as
up
you said,
either,
don't take your foot off the pedal.
We'll see. If it comes up, we can tap them up and light 2.
So this is final stone for skip Al Hackner. They had some, both teams had some issues in terms of how much ice and how much curl was going to be on the other side. So now we're trying it from the near side.
Sweepers are.
Yeah, hard.
Here comes that break.
Carve it hard.
Carve it, so they want it to curl, so they must be. Oh no, they're playing the tap. Playing the tap. Not what he likes, but it takes away anything from that side. So they're playing the run. That's my guess.
It's pretty much all they have. There's no hole in there to sneak in. I don't think they can get around their own guard to hit the red and then roll to the middle with any type of weight.
No, there's. You could maybe draw a piece of the 4 if you knew what you were doing from.
Oh wow.
So right now, Northern Ontario is 2-1.
I'm going with 1.
I'm going with 1. We don't have an overhead shot right now to.
Going with 1. 1 red, 1 yellow, third, red line third. They're playing, I don't know what type of weight they're going to throw at this. If they're playing, they're talking about the bump, and that just looks like straight bump weight. I would have been throwing, you know, take out weight, try to pick the one off the forfeit.
I mean, it's going to wreck.
No real chance to make that shot. That's disappointing.
It's never there, so it looks like, yes, from our angle anyways, from our overhead, definitely 1, and that's all it looks at. They're both taking a look at to see, are they going to bring out the measuring stick?
We can go to break.
Still looking for it, and we'll update you after when we get back. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back in a moment.
The Curling Cares calendar is back for 2023. 25 curling athletes from 7 different nations are raising money for various charities. Support them by purchasing yours today at curlingcares.com.
And we just saw Kellen kind of point over to the official. One red was the official. So, and it's what we thought we saw as well. We thought that yellow was number 2 there. So another steal for Northern Ontario. And they increase their lead by 1 as we start the 6th then.
So the difference in the last 2 ends for me is how that Northern Ontario is set up the end. So Northwest Territories, if I was them, I'd be looking to kind of open it back up again. That's how they stayed ahead in the first couple ends. That's how they scored their deuce. So limit how many guards Northern Ontario. Not that you can do that well with the 5 rock guard rule, but this one's coming in the house. So be interesting to see if he has to score, so he's probably going corner guard.
Yeah, he almost has to, doesn't it? At this point in the game where you're down by 2 and you've got hammer, you've got to be, you need something more than a 1
yeah, you got
to get yourself back in this. So, Nick, you traveled up to Northwest Territories not that long ago.
Yeah, in April, I had the opportunity to visit one of our territories for the first time in my life. It was one of the most, and I've been lucky. I've had the opportunity to travel a fair bit. You know, it's probably one of my biggest passions, seeing the world. And I took Canada for granted a little bit. And anyway, my mother was working at the hospital up there and had the chance to visit her. And truly amazing landscape and people and experience, just completely different than anything we have around here. Got to go dog sledding, see the northern lights, drive the ice roads. Highly recommend it to anyone that hasn't got a chance to do that.
So you're there in April. So spring for us, spring for them, obviously as well. What was the temperature like?
So it was only a couple weeks before the ice roads, you know, normally break up. It went from -4 one day to -32 the next.
Okay.
But different. I find our winters here in Nova Scotia with the humidity in the air just as cold as some of the days that I had up there.
If you're dressed appropriately.
Yeah, and that may have been the difference because, you know me, I'm usually running around town in a pair of shorts.
Yes, you are.
So I did not do that up there.
No, not at -32.
Yeah.
And like yourself, I mean, been to every province, but no, I've never been to a territory.
Yeah.
And I would love to.
It's a must-do. Lots of Nova Scotians actually living in some of the cities up there, so I was able to connect with a few of those, and they showed me the ropes. So it was amazing. Took me ice fishing, took me skidooing. Like it was top notch.
And a lot of, especially with work nowadays and the availability for work in the territories, there's a lot of people that will do contract work, even if it's not their permanent job. Some people are permanently out there, 4 on, 4 off, 8 on, 2 off, whatever. But now you see lots of people in different types of occupations just doing contract work, where I'll go out there for my 3 or 4 weeks, and then, you know, maybe a few months later go back for another little stint, pretty much doing what they want to do in that sense.
Yep, exactly the reason my mother was there.
So we had some rocks in play again. It was a nice couple shots there. Northern Ontario, sorry, just hits off theirs.
A bit of a miss there by Northern Ontario. So this is exactly what the Northwest Territory needs to get back in this game. And like we talked about at the beginning and the end, no real guards in play this end. So hopefully that works out for Northwest Territories to score a deuce and make the final couple ends here really close.
Second rock by third. Brian Kelm.
No, we're going with Franz on this one.
Oh, sorry, Franz, Morissette, wrong side.
I was saying after our first commentating how much more respect I have for people doing hockey games, knowing who's who from a booth. It's absolutely amazing.
It's not a fun task.
Yeah.
It's great when you've seen them a few times. It's helpful when it's like the people that do our Mariners games. So they've done the Mariners all season long. So one of the teams on the ice, they know just by looking.
Yeah.
This is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. And I think the people that are doing it on air for a living, they get to know that. But it's certainly a lot easier in this sense, especially if you get to know who the people are. And the game's a little slower in that sense. It's a more, like baseball, a little more pastoral, where it's a conversational call of a game more so than it is a game that has action to it.
Well, it's been an interesting week, you know, for us as volunteers, being on the host committee, having 150 people to try to get to know over a week and remember where they're from, which is great when they're wearing their gear and, you know, their province or territory
That's right.
stuff.
Keep that name tag on.
That's right. But we invited them to a local lobster boil at the club, and we specifically told them not to wear anything that they would want to wear the rest of the week, just because when you're cracking a lobster open,
things can get messy.
Things can get messy. So 150 people with no identifying clothing. It was a difficult conversation to figure out where everyone was from, but they had an absolute blast.
A lot of people show up to that. Was it well attended?
Yeah, 120 people. You know,
wow.
We didn't really get the locals that can experience that, the local teams, but everyone from the prairies had an absolute blast there, and territories as well.
That didn't make anything better.
That one didn't get over quite as far as I think that they were hoping. Northwest Territories just.
And all behind the tee line again, leaving the door open for just about anything this end. So we'll see if Northern Ontario glues one in the pocket there. Oh, he's had enough. He's getting rid of it, I think. Getting rid of the back one. Not being up by 2, not willing to play that offensive game of leaving rocks in the rings. Can't score what you don't have.
That's right. If you get rid of them, then I mean, they'd love to get Hammer back at this point, actually. Give up one and get control back of the game.
But still a big pocket there, so let's see one placed a piece of the button. Yep, right there.
And I had him 1 too early. It's Kelm now throwing his first rock. And based on the ice, that's exactly what they're going to do, draw right into that.
There's a microbrewery in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories Brewery. And it's great atmosphere, a lot of fun. Met people from all over the world there. I had a chance to visit South Africa, in a city that most people wouldn't go to. And I get there and the 2 bartenders were from Durban, South Africa. And
wow.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Great shot there by the third on Northwest Territories. The reason I mentioned microbreweries is because these teams are all about supporting local. They have drank more of the local microbrewery beer here than you can imagine. Heritage Brewing Co. and Tuscan Brewing. And
Boatskeg,
the local distillery.
Hopefully all of these people are sponsors. If they're not, you're welcome.
Yeah, they are in one way or another.
They are as part of the host area.
Yeah, Heritage is owned by Curlers, so they sponsor our local club to us for a significant amount.
So I'm not sure that they did what they exactly wanted to there. Is they moved the Northwest Territories stone, but removed their own as well. So this is actually.
Open it up.
But it does open it up. We just heard Al Hackner over the mic basically say he opens up that middle to make everything accessible.
Whoa.
So I heard the word whoa, so I'm a little concerned that this might be a little outside.
And they're trying to curl it as much as they can. I saw the arm go out as well.
I didn't see exactly what he asked for, but no, that's not a.
But that wasn't it.
That wasn't it.
The raise of the high guard was probably not call 1.
No, and unfortunately that gives Northern Ontario the chance to remove shot stone and sit 2.
Just hit it.
You know, putting the force back in play. So.
Skip stones now, Al Hackner's first rock. And as you said, it seems like an easy call for what this one's supposed to do anyway.
Okay, hit it, nose it. There's a slight roll there. That's not bad.
Straight in and nose it.
It's going to curl, though.
It is good to hear the thought process as you're sitting in the hack.
Yep.
Well, yep.
Decent weight.
Hard.
You'd think there'd be a lot of curl there. That wasn't a whole lot of ice, to be honest.
And it over curled a little bit, so it didn't stay as close as I think they wanted to sit. They wanted to be 1 and 2.
Either way, I think Northwest Territories was playing a freeze
Told you it was gonna curl there.
to this. Well, one of the other.
One of the two.
Yeah, probably where they are now. You need a freeze to bring a deuce back and play with only 2 stones left, maybe even 3, because you do sit second stone right now.
No, he hit it right in the nose.
Good.
If he'd have been shot, then he would have.
Shot, then the hit and roll, the double runs, the bangs that way, yeah. Curls, eh? I took
We
a
haven't
little off
updated the other
my
sheets in a
normal
while.
speed there, and it just curls.
On ice 4, sheet D, we have PEI women now up. I would say my math skills 6 to 1.
Yep, hard.
They're hiding the scoreboards again.
I believe
and-
it is, yes.
Yeah, and on sheet E, again, PEI leading Nunavut in the men's division 7 to 3. And on sheet 2, we have Northwest Territories
Sideways,
leading New
just
Brunswick
sideways.
4 to 2, I believe.
Go down, let's go there.
First shot by Hootie, very light. Never got anywhere close to where it needed to go. It started to over curl because of the weight. And they tried to keep it straight, but couldn't. So it's up top there. So once again, Northern Ontario is going to try to really put the pressure on. And
Yeah, we've been waiting for, a big shot from a really aggressive shot from one of these 2 teams, and we haven't really seen that
No, we
yet.
haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's been.
It's more of a finesse game.
Yeah. I don't want to call it a game of mistakes because the first few ends were curled really well, but the last couple we haven't seen that power shot yet.
Yeah. Room over here. Put it on the center line.
Center line guard, Frank.
Is he brain dead? Where got the broom? Center line guard.
And I'm sure he meant that with all the love that you could have for a teammate.
That's fine. I'll leave it at his foot.
There hasn't been a lot of positive emotion from Northern Ontario this weekend. They call him the Iceman for a reason,
It's
I
gonna
think.
curl.
So looking for a center line guard. Not worried about bringing one in, but just
Carve it
guarding
out,
what
carve
they
it
have
out.
in there already.
Yeah, gotta go. Yeah, come on. Hard. Hard.
Cutting off the 4-foot. Not a whole lot of room to get in there. You got 3 high guards really choking off the area for Northwest Territories
Gotta
to
keep Frank
score.
on his toes.
So there we go. You're going to have to find the right ice, the right speed.
Really good.
But the draw, once again, is in there. But they've had issues in the last couple of ends of making that crucial shot.
Plunk it down there. He's got. There's no draw. Oh well.
We hit center line right just beyond the logo.
I think he,
There's
a matter of inches, but he probably would have liked that to bend even a couple inches to the right as we're looking at it.
Had to go a little
Yeah, you really need to score in this end. Going home in the 6th. Going into the 7th down by 3 means you're pretty much guaranteed to have to steal 1 or 2 ends to win the game.
Yep, gotta go line.
Got to go for line, they're saying.
I don't think the skip's body.
Whoa, wait only.
Now it's weight. They were able to get it by. Bringing it in tight. 3 of them.
There's
a little
And
bit
it's
light.
just a little bit light even with 3. So once again, for the 3rd end in a row, Northern Ontario steals one. At the end of 6, Northern Ontario 5, Northwest Territories 2, and we'll be back in a moment.
The Curling Cares calendar is back for 2023. 25 curling athletes from 7 different nations are raising money for various charities. Support them by purchasing yours today at curlingcares.com.
Welcome back, curling fans, to the 2022 Everest Canadian Seniors Curling Championships, brought to you from the Yarmouth Mariner Centre in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, and this draw brought to you by Besh Nutraceuticals. After 6 ends complete, we have Northern Ontario up 5-2, and we're about to get started here at the beginning of the 7th end. So steal, steal, steal for Northern Ontario, and now with a 3-point lead, it's an uphill climb for Northwest Territories, Nick.
Yeah, you're looking at Northern Ontario coming into the house now. Probably trying to be a little bit more defensive.
Crazy curl.
But at the same time, Northwest Territories needs guards, so they're going all out for it. So probably a lot more rocks in play again this end.
Yes. I tell people I'm
So this would be a guard over to the like a corner guard on the right side.
You got it.
yeah.
And once again, just setting up guards so they can then come around them, use those guards later, because they need just getting 1 point in this end is not good enough.
No, it's not.
2 goals my last skate.
They're running out of time, so they need to put up a 2 or a 3 here, some sort of crooked number to get back in it.
So Klakowicz with the first shot out there, and they're trying to drag it over as far as they can.
You know, there's been some high-scoring games, lopsided games this week, but this hasn't been that way. They both had.
They've had opportunities. The shot's been there.
Yeah.
Back to our last, and this would be for Brian Keln. Another person recently retired, worked for 32 and a half years with the City of Yellowknife with Community Services Department as a programs manager. Organizing committee for 2 royal visits, 2 Arctic Winter Games championships, and Hockey Day in Canada. So, yes, certainly a big part of a lot of events in his home community. Won 10 Northwest Territories Senior Curling Championships, 1 Northwest Territory Mixed Curling Championship, and 1 Northwest Territory / Yukon Men's Curling Championship. An active coach. Other interests, golfing, swimming. A lot of curlers are golfers as well. It seems to be the double that both of the athletes like to do. If you're a curler, you're a golfer as well. And he's also coached water polo and fastball.
Water polo in Northwest Territories?
It's an indoor sport.
Sounds cold.
And he received the Commonwealth Award for the Service Cross for his volunteer work with the Life Saving Society of Canada. So, he retired just so he could do more in the community.
I think, you know, me and you both have done a fair bit of volunteering in the community, and you look at an event like this that has, you know, 120 plus volunteers. This event doesn't happen without that group of individuals. So.
And volunteers from a lot of different, like they're needed in a lot of different areas. I mean, you're hearing us, and you know it's great that all the crew from Miley / MC Media that are putting this out there for people to see, and that's terrific. And there's certainly a set of volunteers for that. But there's a lot of volunteers all over the place from the very beginning. You know, when the teams were coming in and they were giving their packages, to ice services, to everything else that's been going on in the arena, and not just the arena, but the curling club as well.
Yep, drivers, just so many scorekeepers, even, you know, the umpires and officials from Curl Canada. A lot of them are putting in volunteer hours here. Ice crew.
Because it ends up being a long day. I mean, especially a day like today when you have 4 draws that are going on. So draw times are 8:30, 12:30, 4:30, and then 8:30 at night. So there are going to be some people that are putting in a very long day today.
Yeah, we had a good week of 3 draw days, but today is one of the busiest.
So as we're 3 rocks in to the 7th end, once again, Northern Ontario putting pressure on, and they're looking to just pick the Northwest Territory rock out of there and continue what's worked for them in the last 3 ends. Put pressure on, force Northwest Territories to an end-saving rock at the end and see whether or not they can.
That's good.
Nice angle on that one as they didn't wreck on their back rocks.
it's nice to put those corner guards up to try and score, but at the same time, your opposition's piling them into the forefoot, and then you have to find a way to, have those outside biters and then remove the pile of stones that are in the forefoot, and that's really been the difference this game. Once we started seeing Ontario get a bit more aggressive down the middle, Northwest Territories hasn't really been able to remove those.
They're going to try to drag this one right in.
It's going to over curl on them a bit, maybe a little rub in behind the guard. There you go.
Shot stone.
Yeah, and buried, so behind the tee line, leaving a bit of a pocket. So the difference now with being up by 3 is Al Hackner's willing to kill his own stones to get the yellow stone. So,
right. Getting that one out of there is more important. You're not even up or even just up by 1 in this case. You'd love to have the hammer coming home.
Yeah, up by 2. Even up by 1.
Whoa, Robbie.
Just one sweeper.
It's looking pretty close, I think. Nice shot.
Exactly
Beautiful
what he
shot.
was looking to do.
3 stones.
Gets rid of one of his own. We got 3 in a row in the house for Northern Ontario, and the pressure continues.
They are not letting Northwest Territories back in this game.
And here's a good replay of it. As you can see it, hit their own.
It's a beautiful shot.
And bounce backwards, basically.
Yep. Very lively stones here. All Curl Canada stones that we had shipped in.
Whoa.
So even at the curling rink, the Curl Canada stones are the ones that are being used.
Yep.
Oh, forget it. Whoa.
We're looking to switch handles with some of those so that we can keep some.
Nobody will ever notice.
No one will ever notice. They were reading serial numbers off them when they got here. Like, I think they will notice.
I think they're going to notice.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of a sudden, Curling Canada's knocking on your door.
There's a very documented record of each stone and where it's been, what it's doing, how it's acting. Like it's unreal.
The science behind everything.
Yeah.
Or the amount of data that they keep on all of this.
It's not just about making sure that rural club president doesn't steal your stones.
That's just an added benefit.
Yeah.
So a complete miss, unfortunately, there by Northwest Territories is going to put them a little further behind the 8 ball, if you will, here in the 7th end. And it looks like Northern Ontario is just looking to guard what they have in place.
Little bounce. Okay, all right, okay. All right.
So they're still looking to peel red stones out the top of the house.
Good shot in your first one. Holy man, you were like that.
Well, there's some positive.
Yeah, but that was a positive feedback.
Yeah, it's the first time. First time for everything. Unlike last end.
Yep.
Which was a little more disparaging. So as you're saying, they're looking to peel away at least 1 stone.
Only going to get 1, though, hitting that on the inside.
Okay, we'll try that again. Somewhere in that line.
So same thing. Skip stones now. Hackner just saying that they're going to try that again. So the shot that they were attempting to make, they're just going to put another one out there. Continue to guard what they have in the house. Continue to force Northwest Territories to try to make an end-saving shot at the very end.
Yeah, and if I was Hoodie, I'd be trying that on my first stone, not just on my second. So looking maybe to draw a piece of the button on the first, especially if this guard is even protecting more of the button. So hard to get 2, but you got to get 1.
Or you'll get down to an 8th end where, like the game in front of us right now, the Nunavut PEI men's game, they're shaking hands early.
Yeah, and we lost the PEI Nunavut women's game already.
Yeah.
So PEI, both men and women, coming out with a win here in the seeding round. Our only other remaining game is Northwest Territories beating New Brunswick 6-2.
Beautifully placed shot.
They have to draw, I would think. They're just debating which turn, but I, to me, only see 1 turn.
I'm thinking
Yeah, the guards over their own high guards at the end.
There's only one turn where you're getting shot rocks, so make Hackner make a shot would be my. They're ripping the guard again.
This one, yeah.
So you're gonna throw.
So they're ripping the guard, but hoping to rid themselves of more than one rock.
Oh yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I mean,
guess
I
so.
understand what you're saying. That let's give yourself 2 attempts to make the difficult draw.
Right. Yeah. You're gonna throw peel weight here and then have to,
Turn around and finesse it in.
right.
Yeah,
You know,
double there,
this
maybe
is,
a triple there.
high level curling, and
try to get that thing off the
that's
4 foot.
that's an expectation that you can do that. But at the same time, you've given up 3 steals. Why not give yourself 2 cracks at securing a point here?
If things go drastically wrong, we could be into a handshake at the end of this end. If it's more than
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
it's a steal of more than one.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say he's right around nose, maybe rolling
On the inside a bit.
Yeah, rolling on the inside a bit.
Right beside
So
They're going to put one right back where it was before.
I'd even come in a little bit deeper, and then I'm not sure
Force
what.
4 on him.
Yeah, like even if you hit nose, put one full 12 foot, even if you and cut off that draw to the button, and that way, even if you hit a red one, there's still 3 others that are going to outcount you.
So same shot with, basically 1 more foot. Like just as long as you're touching, as long as you're biting somewhere.
Yep. I think if I was Northwest Territories, I'd go back to that last shot and say we needed to put the pressure on by making that draw.
Your line's pretty good. Bite the 12. Bite the 12 foot.
And there you go. Exactly what you said.
It looks a little heavier than just biting, maybe full 12.
Yeah, bite it. Come on.
Exactly what you called. Exactly what they did.
Sweeping.
An even harder draw.
Jeez, they're
I don't see how you get in.
talking about a piece of the yellow on the far 12. That's what
Yeah.
the third would like to see. That's a TV shot for sure.
So angle in from their one over to the right.
Yeah, half the outside yellow come across center and man, oh,
That would be our highlight of the night, wouldn't it?
it would be, but I think he's drawing. Maybe he feels like he can come around.
Well,
those
he
2.
certainly has no room on this side with that last rock.
You have to throw enough weight to move that one on the button out of the 4 foot to score 1. But
And yet throw not enough weight in order for it to move as much as you need it to get it past your own 2 high guards.
exactly,
Tough shot.
and not hit the one in the top of the house. Like
Tough shot. And
this is
a
where
game changer here in the 7th end for Hootie.
this is where it's been bending though, so it is possible. But if you throw any amount of weight, like you said,
curl time.
handshakes are in order. That is out there.
That's out there. It's not coming back. And is this just limiting the damage? I can't win, but can I
Give up 2.
give up just, in this case, 2, but they were hoping for 1.
2 reds.
2 red, steal of 2.
And handshakes.
After 7 complete, and actually they're shaking hands. Make the final, Northern Ontario 7, Northwest Territories 2. As the steals in 4 ends in a row by Northern Ontario cemented the game at the end. Your thoughts on the game, Nick?
I think they both curled reasonably well. It really just came down to the final, the skip stones at the end that we missed a few difficult shots. I thought it was a good game. It was nice to see Al Hackner. I'm not sure how many more games we're going to get to see him, especially as the feature. So as they move on, it was a wonderful day here at Mariner Center. wonderful day here in Yarmouth, and looking forward to future games.
And lots of curling to come. So once again, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us for our 2022 coverage of the Everest Canadian Seniors Curling Championship. Come to you from the Yarmouth Mariner Center in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. On behalf of myself, David Doucette, my partner today, Nick Hilton, thanks for joining us, and hope you'll join us again for our following matches.